Good morning, good afternoon, or good night from whenever and wherever you are watching us. I am Cameron Scandal. That is Steven Treffler. We are the sound. Thank you so much for joining us today, folks. It was a cold and snowy day here in South Central Pennsylvania. It's seen the snow all day and just not stop, making the commutes a little difficult. But finally over now. We are glad to have you here today. Happy Valentine's Day as well. Day of love, time to celebrate. Hope you all are watching the sound with your special person, your Valentine for the day. We're happy to have you here. We got a lot of good content for you. Big game happened this past Sunday, Steve. I don't know if you heard about it. There was kind of something big that just happened this week. We're certainly going to get to that. Got some NBA action and a returning segment that I'm sure fans have been waiting for since we have returned. So we got a lot for you today, folks. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Our first topic of the day, Luka Doncic made his debut with the Lakers earlier this week, and there's a divided conversation on just how good this Lakers team can be with Luka and how deep of a playoff run they can make. So, Steve, with this new addition of Luka Doncic, how far can the Luka and LeBron duo take LA?
You know, Cam, honestly, I'm a little worried, man. You know, it's listen, I want to make sure everyone is prefaced with this. I agree that Luka Doncic and LeBron James is a scary duo together. The offensive efficiency that's about to come out of this team is going to be crazy. But that's the key, is it's the offensive efficiency, right? So Anthony Davis, by large, was their best defensive player. He's coming off a year last year where we said he kind of returned to the old AD. You know, he finished top 5 in Defensive Player of the Year voting, and he was all NBA first team defense, right? So the Lakers gave up their best defensive piece, an elite two-way player in this league, and brought in a Luka Doncic who there's concerns with his conditioning. And there's already been a lot of talk in the past of he's just not that good at defense, right? So where do the Lakers currently fall defensively within the NBA? You know, they're 13th in scoring defense. They're 17th in field goal defense. They're 8th in three-point defense. So perimeter defense gets a little bit better, but they're 22nd in defensive rebounding, and they're 23rd in defending points in the paint. So when you're adding a Luka Doncic and giving up an Anthony Davis, yep, the post-LeBron era is solidified with their superstar. But once again, you're relying on a Jackson Hayes who is averaging 5 points, 6 rebounds, and maybe 1 assist. And now a free agent signing of Alex Len, who over the course of his career has not had much success either. So I just struggle to wonder when you get deeper in the playoffs. I struggle with the idea that they can go against the Denver Nuggets of the West. They can go against the, you know, as much as you and me might not think he's that formidable of a center, the Rudy Goberts and the Timberwolves of the West, the Oklahoma City Thunder, right? Teams where their defense is crazy and their offense is also just as crazy. It just concerns me with, you know, so the answer to the question for me is I don't know. I think they can go as deep as LeBron and Luka are going to carry them, but defensively, at what cost did they give up?
Here was what I think about just having those two in the same team that I think will overcompensate for the defense. So if you were to take a draft of all the players in the league right now, if you were to draft this for the postseason, like who do you want on your team for the playoffs? Luka and LeBron are 2 of the first 5 people off the board. And another thing that made the Lakers, what set them apart in seasons past, was that they were one of, if not the only team in the NBA that had 2 top 10 players in the league on it.
Okay.
That's still the case. Like, there are still a lot of players. LeBron is still better than a lot of players right now who could be making the argument. I think he's still a, 8, 9, at least 10, top 10 player in the league. And you had mentioned about the conditioning, and the Mavericks had said that was a big part of it. And we said about the defense. Luka in the finals last year, playing almost 40 minutes a game, averaged 29, 9, and 6. LeBron last year in the first round against Denver, who is now going to be 40 plus, 28, 9, and 7 in over 40 minutes a game. Luka gets to learn at the feet of LeBron in terms of taking care of his body and what needs to be done in the postseason with LA and the Lakers. So LeBron has obviously been the guy and the system and the person with the ball for his whole career in the postseason, in that playoff LeBron mode, the switch, that's always been him. And when Luka came in and started busting the Clippers, we were like, whoa, that's the first time we've seen someone or something that has played like LeBron in that sort of sense. So if LeBron, who has been getting better playing off the ball since he has been, a different style of player in his Lakers era, he can tell Luka, okay, this is the situation we're in. If I were you, or if this were still me, I'd be looking for this. I would attack this player and find this player open. You're going to get to this cut. And then with LeBron guiding Luka, plus Luka already knowing some of that stuff from being him, LeBron can then fill in the gap with his insane IQ and Luka's. LeBron can fill in the gaps for, well, if Luka is going to be me, I can be who I wanted to have on my team when I was in the Luka role. Luka is, if he is driving into the paint or pulling up for mid-range and pulling in that defense, you're going to have LeBron then to pass out to with space and room to operate. He then gets to use his IQ and do the same thing Luka did, but without the same kind of defensive pressure. And Steve, another part of this that you and I were skeptical of, I mean, not with LeBron and Luka, but with the Lakers, was JJ Redick and how he was going to do with this team. And we were very skeptical on if he were going to have the coaching experience and know-how to have a successful postseason run and have a successful coaching career with this type of team and environment, getting into the LeBron James business and all that. We know Luka and JJ played together in Dallas. They had a great relationship. We know LeBron and JJ already have a great established relationship. So JJ playing with both of those guys and knowing what they can do best and knowing what their skill sets are, already having this Lakers team in a better position than you thought in the beginning of the season, you can say, guys, you have two of the greatest offensive minds out there. They're going to get you open shots. They're going to get you easy looks. They're going to take away that defensive pressure. Let them cook, and they can help you cook. So, Steve, I just think with how powerful and potent the LeBron and Luka basketball aura is, I just think that the defense will figure itself out once they get more time together. And, it's not like you are going to have these crazy defensive matchups every night. I mean, depending how the seeding falls, Lakers are fourth in the West right now. So they can avoid a lot of those teams that they would need to exert more defensive pressure until deeper in the playoffs when they can, kind of have more rest and more gel and more time. So, like I said, I just think they're going to be too good to stop.
I agree with a lot of the points that you made. I guess we'll see, because my fear is you get into the deeper part of the conference playoffs, right? And you get into like the semifinals or the conference finals, and you're playing a potential Wolves, potential Nuggets team where they can score just as many points as you're going to score, even with a Luka and LeBron matchup. And it's going to come down to how hard does Luka want to work. With LeBron aging, these deep playoff runs, how much are you going to continually expect from a 40-year-old LeBron if you start getting into 6 and 7 game series early in the playoffs, right? So how much is Luka going to take serious the potential of what they could do together? I agree that they are contenders, but I have a lot of concerns as far as seeing if they can find a way to make that system gel a little bit more defensively.
Just looking at the West and if they can make the finals, obviously Denver with Jokic, being the Lakers' kryptonite is always going to be a problem. OKC, the argument of they're young is eventually going to get stale.
Yes.
Now, regardless of their age, I think because there are so many young guys, they're going to get not starstruck, but like their vision and the way they're going to run the offense, they're not going to be able to guard everything all the time with the way they can break down the defense.
That one's a coin toss for me.
Like if I had to pick, like if you gun to my head who you pick in that series, I'm picking the Lakers. Now whether that's in 6 or 7, but I'm picking the Lakers.
Okay.
Like I said, Denver's a toss up. I don't believe in Memphis yet, just because I just don't think they're cut out for it. And
Same
in
with
terms of
Denver.
like in the West, that's it. Like I think it's OKC, Denver, and now the Lakers. And I don't think anyone else is truly in contention.
Yeah, the path is there, clearly. The path is there for them because you're right. We've always said youth doesn't translate in the playoffs. So teams like the Thunder and teams like the Rockets, I'm not buying a lot of stock in the success they're having right now. And especially with, Ja Morant being out for, a period of time and Memphis not having much playoff success to begin with. It'll be really interesting to see because you're right. The youth doesn't translate argument for the Thunder. Shea's not really that young anymore, and he's playing at an MVP caliber.
Yeah.
And Chet Holmgren coming back from injury. I mean, it'll be really interesting to see what happens.
Our second topic of the day, the Lombardi Trophy returning to the city of brotherly love. The Eagles winning Super Bowl 59.
Go Birds.
Go Birds. May not have gotten the prediction right, but can't be sad when the Birds win the Super Bowl. But regardless, out of this game came two very different quarterback conversations. Mahomes seemingly fell out of the GOAT conversation, or people are doubting if he can even return to it. And meanwhile, Jalen Hurts is being showered with praise and apologies left and right. So, Steve, after watching this big game on Sunday, has your opinion on either quarterback really changed after what you saw?
So, Cam, I'm going to focus solely on Mahomes here. And I'm going to let you kind of handle, as the resident Eagles fan, handle the Jalen Hurts side of things.
Okay.
Right?
I could, yeah.
My view of Patrick Mahomes has not changed one iota after this game. Let me break a few things down for you guys. In Patrick Mahomes' first 8 seasons, he has made 5 Super Bowls. 5 Super Bowls he has made in 8 years. He has a 3-2 record in the Super Bowl. Now, everybody's making a big deal about how he played in this last Super Bowl, and it was a bad performance and blah, 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 blah. Listen, let me explain something to you guys. I'm going to read 2 set of statistics to you both, and I want you to tell me if they're both pretty comparable. For player A, 266 yards passing, 1 touchdown, no picks, sacked 5 times for 67 yards. Player B, 245 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks, and sacked 6 times for 70-plus yards. Out of those 2 guys, which one are you probably going to lean on a little more? Player A is Tom Brady in his 4th Super Bowl when they lost. And player B is Patrick Mahomes in this most recent Super Bowl on Sunday when they lost. Tom Brady, after winning his 3rd Super Bowl, didn't win another Super Bowl for 10 years, 2004 to 2014. So if you're asking me if one loss in this Super Bowl to the Birds, where, yep, they got dominated, but let me ask you a question. Are you going to take one loss in a guy's career and just say, nope, all of a sudden he is not what we thought he was anymore? Well, if we're going to be fair to each other, simply one loss in this Super Bowl does not mean that he is still not the greatest quarterback of all time, because even Brady lost 3 separate times. I think getting to that 3rd Super Bowl, which is something no other team had ever done before, is enough to still have the conversation. So, Cam, no, my belief and view of Patrick Mahomes has not changed one iota.
Yeah, mine hasn't either. I agree that after this game, it is not like inarguable. It's not unequivocal. It's not just Mahomes. There is still clearly an argument to be had or made. If someone comes to me and says Mahomes or Brady, I am not going to get mad at them for either one. But it is not as drastic of a fall as people are making it seem to be. You can have, well, I mean, look at LeBron in 2011. You can clearly have a slip up and still be considered the greatest.
Yeah, and like we've also always said, we can't just have recency bias.
Right.
We can't just say because of this loss, maybe it doesn't solidify him as we said it would in the last video if they did win, but the conversation is still there. Fox Sports, shame on you for that graphic that you put out with Mahomes back under Montana and Peyton Manning. Shame on you for that. Don't punish him just because he lost 1 Super Bowl.
It's not good. It's not fair at all. And speaking of not fair, I have not been fair to Jalen Hurts.
Oh.
And Steve, not even just this season or doing this show, but the last couple years, just from us talking, I have been a Jalen Hurts skeptic, but also a big Jalen Hurts lover. Like, so I have gone the two different
In true
extremes.
Birds fashion. In true
Yeah,
Birds fashion.
correct. And I wanna first of all apologize and explain my thoughts on Jalen Hurts. So first of all, Jalen Hurts, this is to you. I am sorry. I doubted your ability in the Super Bowl. I questioned your ability for the last 2 years. That was wrong of me, and it will not happen again. And let me tell you why, and the folks about why. So let's just go back through the history of Jalen Hurts' Eagles tenure. So 2020, he's backing up Carson Wentz. The Eagles had four wins the whole season. We as in Eagles fans were just we were moving on from Carson Wentz. He didn't have it anymore. His MVP status was gone, or almost MVP status was gone. And we were just ready to look to the future and this young quarterback we have in Jalen Hurts. 2021, his first year as a starter. He is labeled as a, say, work in progress. Jalen Hurts struggled against good defenses. He didn't really seem like he had the greatest arm. He wasn't really exhibiting a lot of starter qualities. So I was kind of looking at him kind of like I looked at Tua when he was drafted. Not a great arm. It's not like he's going to be killing you with these deep passes. Can he be an okay starter? Sure. I don't expect him to be prolific. I had a lot of doubts with him coming into the league. 2022 happens, and that is obviously the Super Bowl year. He's a top 3 to 5 quarterback in the league. He finished second in MVP voting, and we were like, yo, Jalen Hurts is a franchise quarterback. We finally have our guy. He's doing all this stuff. He just may have lost to Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs or in the Super Bowl, but some say he outdueled him. We had all kind of been like, okay, Jalen Hurts is here. He has arrived. He is our starter. He's our quarterback. And there was not a lot of conversation amongst other people of if that was validated or not, or if we should feel that way. It was just, yeah, he played that great. He's that guy. Then next year happens, and it's the funky year. We start off 10-1, finish 1-5 at the end of the season. Bottom 3, possibly bottom 2 defense in the league. Jalen Hurts had a regression year, and it seemed like we were almost back to square one with him. I try very hard to not let my bias intrude my takes. So I was afraid that the season before, when I had been saying he is the second best quarterback alive, without question, I was afraid that I was letting my Eagles bias show. So I was like, okay, 21, he's 22, he's amazing. 23, he's I'm going to take that because that's what I saw. That's what I first believed. And there was more. That season seemed like the outlier after this season. We then come into this season. Same Jalen Hurts. He's not playing terrible, but he's not playing absolutely fantastic. But we have Saquon Barkley. We clearly, obviously, have a fantastic season. We go to the Super Bowl. He does what he does. But Jalen Hurts this season, up until the Super Bowl, like I had said when we were in the conference championship, I don't expect Jalen Hurts to do something I had not seen this entire last 2 seasons. Why would I expect it now? Jalen Hurts has one of the rare attributes and traits in athletes that he can turn it on and off. So in 2022, before Saquon Barkley got there, and we had just had the failure season before, Jalen Hurts said, I need to be great. I need to be the hero. I need to have this team. I need to propel this team to wins. That's what I have to do. That's what I'm going to do. That's what he did the whole season. 23, funk year. 24, we assume it's a funk year. But what actually happened, I believe, is Saquon Barkley came in, has a generational year, is the best running back by far, is one of the best players in the league by far. And Jalen saw this and said, okay, I can do what I've been doing to start the season and do average, mediocre numbers. Saquon can lead the team and we can still win because it's about the team. It's about us. It's about the plan, the vision. He then takes that attitude the whole season, and we mistake it as Jalen Hurts doesn't have it. It's not that he didn't have it. He wasn't using it. In his 2 Super Bowl appearances, 65% completion percentage, 262 yards, 70 rushing yards. These are all averages. 1 touchdown and 2 rushing touchdowns per Super Bowl. Saquon wasn't having it. The Chiefs clearly sold out on stopping him. And Jalen said, this is where I can come in, and this is where I'm needed. This is what I have to do. And he did. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar, even Joe Burrow. It's on them. It's on their shoulders. They have to be the guy. Quarterbacks in general feel like they have to be the guy. But because the Eagles have so many weapons, and because Jalen Hurts is such a great leader and such a unique athletic talent, he can allow his supreme quarterback play to take a back seat for the benefit of the team. And like I said, we mistook that as, oh, Jalen Hurts never had it. So no, Jalen Hurts has it in his back pocket. And for the misdirected comments about his play, Jalen Hurts and the Eagles, my apologies.
I've been telling you for a long time, Jalen Hurts was deserving of the big contract that Philly signed him to. It was a very Philly thing of them to do. Clearly, the ownership and Howie Roseman saw something in him that made them feel like he deserved that contract. And those leadership qualities that we've talked about that he has, because he has command of that locker room.
Yeah.
A lot of the players have come out and said that he controls that locker room. He has a voice, and it's very loud in there. What you don't see maybe in his statistics are what he shows in the locker room and in those moments where he knows he needs to be the leader. And it's not that he's never not the leader. He just knows when it's time to take a back seat, like you said. So, Jalen Hurts, to me, is a franchise quarterback. Jalen Hurts, to me, shows a lot of Jimmy Butler-ness and playoff Jimmy, right? When you need to rise to a certain level at a certain occasion for your team, you find a way to do that. And what better for your franchise? You have 2 franchises in your personal life that have had 2 leaders that have been able to do that. And how cool has that been to watch for you?
And we have said with the Jimmy Butler comparison that, I mean, obviously not this season, but when that was still around, that's such an invaluable thing to have. And like I said, it is so rare and not a common thing. I mean, look at Embiid. Embiid is the opposite, where he is such a massive talent in the regular season and in general, but then when it comes time, he never has what it takes. Yep. So for Jalen Hurts to be, I would say, prime peak Embiid is higher in the NBA hierarchy than a prime healthy Jalen Hurts in the NFL hierarchy. But Jalen Hurts plays so much at a higher level in the postseason that it's incomparable.
I agree.
Moving on to our third and final topic, it is everyone's favorite game show. Who is that? So in case you forget, Who Is That is a game where Steve and I give each other 5 clues to guess the NBA or NFL player. The less clues you take, the better. It's been a long time since we've done this one. We have been anxious to get back into it. Steve, you got the clues for me today to guess an NBA player. I am excited. I am ready. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm pumped. I have a good one cooked up for you here, Cam. So without further ado, are you ready to play Who Is That?
Let's get going.
All right. Clue number 1. I am a guard drafted in the 70s. I averaged 11, 3, and 6 over my career while making 4 All-Stars, 5 All-NBA defensive teams, and winning 1 ring. Who am I?
Man, all right, right out of the gate, 70s, a lot of defense, not a big scorer. Sidney Moncrief.
No. Clue number 2. I went to 3 finals in 4 years in the 80s. I am a Hall of Fame inductee as of 2018, and I am the first player in NBA history to have 2,000 steals.
All right, how many championships?
They went to 3 finals in 4 years in the 80s.
So this had to be, I was first thinking Joe Dumars, but they didn't go to that many, and they went in the 90s. So I'm thinking this has to be someone from Boston or LA, because there's no one. A guard, one ring, defense.
Can it be from Boston or LA if they won only one ring in 3 tries?
They could have went somewhere else. Okay. Oh, well, no, wait.
I'll let you think this through.
This is like the 70s. The 70s and early 80s are like the worst eras in my brain. I shouldn't say the ones that I know the at least off the top of my head about. I gotta see teams. I need to see team logos. I'm like I don't have a guess. It's gonna be an out there guess. Mo Cheeks.
That's why I didn't want you to look at the teams. Yeah.
What does it have anything to do with the teams?
How many finals were they in the 80s?
I have no idea.
It's a good guess. Yeah, it's Mo Cheeks.
And I'm like, who would have been a guard in the 80s? Clearly wasn't the focal point. And then I was trying to think of teams that have been to multiple finals, but not multiple in a row. And I'm like, well, Sixers had a couple runs with Irving and Moses. And I was like, then I'm like, well, they never went with Barkley. I'm trying to think of like different eras.
My next clue was the Blazers gave him his first head coaching opportunity in 2001.
And I got that.
And I ended my coaching career in Detroit in 2014.
I would not. Let me tell you something. Those would not have helped me whatsoever.
And
those clues would not have.
I was the head coach of the Sixers in between 2003 and 2005.
While I should know that, that still would not have helped me.
Oh, really?
Not really. The best clue you could have gave me was Bo Scandal's favorite Sixer. That's really the only clue you could have gave me that I would have been like, yeah, Mo Cheeks.
Mo Cheeks, baby.
Yeah, Mo Cheeks was that's a pretty good one. That is definitely not a common player that the average or casual NBA fan would know. But
I saved the best for you, man. I saved the best.
No, that is a good one. That's a good one to do. Hope you guys enjoyed Who Was That? If you guys have suggestions for players or whatnot, let us know. We'd be happy to hear what you guys want to have as guests. But this has been another edition of Who Is That? And that's going to do it for us today, guys. Another successful show in the books. We hope you have a great rest of your Valentine's Day or whenever you are watching. We hope you are staying warm, staying safe. And folks, always remember, if you're ever in need of intelligent and cogent sports analysis, we will always have you covered. Thank you so much for joining us today, folks. We hope you have a great rest of your day or night. Stay safe. Take care. We'll see you next time. Listen to the sound. I listen to the sound.